For decades, buying a home meant you had made it. Now it can mean you bought a risk package you barely understand. The old story was that homeownership made families stable. Every month, a payment went in, and the future was supposed to get a little safer. Debt turned into equity. Time turned into progress. A huge bet became normal because the machine around it seemed to work. But the house was never safe by itself. It was sitting inside something larger. But the new story is stranger. Homeownership is becoming one of the ways unstable systems pass their costs down to families. The people above the homeowner do not always absorb risk. Often, they move it. By the time the burden reaches the family, it no longer looks like a decision made above them. It just looks like a normal piece of mail. The house can look exactly the same, while the cost of owning it begins to change. So how does a normal house become more dangerous without anything happening to the house? In 2026, the average homeowner is not just paying for a house. They are paying for the world becoming harder to predict. And that is the strange part. The house can look exactly the same, while the cost of owning it changes completely. A homeowner can do everything right and still become more exposed. Home insurance is rising because insurers are trying to price disasters before they happen. The fire does not have to reach your street for the model to reach your policy. The flood does not have to enter your living room for the risk to move through the system. To the institution, this is risk management. To the homeowner, it is just another bill on the kitchen table. The house does not need to burn, flood, or collapse to become more expensive. It only needs to be reclassified as riskier. That is how the danger reaches the homeowner before the disaster does. To the insurer, the number is risk management. To the family, it is a trade-off. The burden changes language as it moves downward. This is one way a house becomes more dangerous without changing shape. But insurance is only the first layer. Mortgage rates do not only affect the people trying to buy. They also affect the person who may one day need that buyer to reach the house. Because a buyer does not really buy the house price, they buy the monthly payment. When the monthly payment rises, the same house becomes harder to reach. The house did not change. The cost of reaching it did. And if fewer buyers can reach the house, the homeowner's exit gets smaller. Owning feels safe when you can leave. It feels different when leaving gets harder. A home can still be valuable on paper and still become harder to escape. The house is local, but the forces deciding what it costs are not. From the ground, a home looks simple. A door, a room, a place to sleep. But higher up the machine, the same house can become something else. To families, it is shelter. To investors, it can become return. The cruel part is that the home does not disappear. It just moves out of reach. Builders face their own machine too. Land, financing, labor, materials, and margins. When the system rewards margin more than access, the starter home becomes harder to build. So the market can keep building, while still failing the people looking for a first step in. And for people who already own, the pressure does not stop at buying. A small repair can become harder to fix early when everything attached to repair gets more expensive. By the time the shock reaches the homeowner, it does not look like fuel, labor, or materials. It looks like a quote. So the danger grows quietly when a fixable problem becomes too expensive to fix early. And when maintenance waits, the house can become riskier from the inside. This is how separate decisions become one pressure at the bottom. Then there is the place itself. The street, the pipes, the schools, the services. When those local systems get more expensive, the cost has to go somewhere. And homeowners are one of the easiest places for that cost to land. By the time it reaches the family, it no longer looks like roads or pipes. It looks like another notice. At first, these costs feel separate. Insurance, repairs, taxes, buyers, rates. But they are not really separate. They are different ways the upper layers protect themselves. The higher layers get to reprice. The lower layers have to live with the repricing. Each layer calls it something different. Pricing risk, protecting reserves, balancing budgets, defending margins. But at the bottom, all of that becomes normal life. That is what makes ownership more dangerous now. The homeowner becomes the shock absorber. The house can still be shelter. It can still be beautiful. But it is not simple anymore. For decades, buying a home meant you had made it. Now, it can mean you bought a risk package you barely understand. The old dream was that the house would protect you from instability. The new risk is that instability now knows your address.